Hi, I'm Helen Reid. Uh, this is for my yoga teacher training exam. Today I thought I would do this with a virtual audience, and I will be taking my online community through a yoga practice that's for balance and stability. I'm currently in Sydney, Australia. We're in lockdown, have been for the last 4 weeks, so not allowed to leave our homes or our suburb, and that's becoming quite strenuous on some. So I thought that this would be a good practice to help with groundedness and balance, to balance the body, to balance the mind. It's also quite cool, we're in winter, so I thought I would generate some heat through this particular sequence and practice today and warm up the body. And for those that also want to shred some of those added winter kilos that we tend to put on when we're working from home and not able to move about too much, I thought it's a good practice to help create some of that heat and help with some weight loss or just movement in the body. So we've got some props as well today. We've got blocks, straps, something comfortable to seat on for our meditation pranayama practice, and a blanket in case we're feeling a little bit cool as we start the practice. So we're just going to check in. It is a beginner's class, so there would be a requirement to have some foundational knowledge of breath as well as of movement. So whether it is understanding some of the stretches or understanding some of the asanas would be great. So it's geared at not to complete beginners, but that next layer up. So people that have an understanding of body and movement and already do some level of practice or some level of exercise. So with that, I'm going to pop my timer on for us to begin. Let's begin the class today by finding a comfortable seated position. You might want to cross your legs or sit on your knees, and if you're feeling cold, you can use your blanket to cover your knees. You might want to sit up against the wall. The important thing here today is that you're comfortable, that your spine's long. Your hips may be elevated, but we want to get nice and comfortable so we can start to look within ourselves and start to focus inwardly. And just notice the breath for the next few moments without altering or changing anything. Just notice your breath and notice what's going on in your body, and also notice what's happening with your thoughts at the moment. And I invite you now to start lengthening your breath and taking what we call full yogic breaths. So we inhale gently and slowly, wanting to fill up our belly. Have a little Buddha belly, so we start by filling up our belly and our lower chest, upper chest, and then releasing, taking a release out through the mouth to start off with, and inhaling through the nose. And exhaling, and now allowing ourselves to gently melt into our mats or into our block or cushion, allowing our body to relax with this breath. And taking 2 more of these nice, deep, slower inhalations. and exhalations. Exhaling through the mouth for these first 5 breaths. And on your 5th breath, I invite you to either drop your gaze or close your eyes, whatever feels right for you, and continue with this breath sequence where we're taking long, deep inhalations. Trying not to move and trying to turn our focus inwardly. Focusing firstly on our breath. Noticing what it feels like. How it feels to slow down the breath. And as we're noticing, we turn our attention to our thoughts, noticing what kind of thoughts are coming in. And without any judgment, without any analysis, allowing these thoughts to come in. And when they're ready, allowing them to drift away with the breath. Now turning our attention towards our body, noticing how our body feels against the mat. Noticing if we're holding any tension in our hips or in our knees or legs, in our backs, in our shoulders or neck or jaw. Just gently focusing our breath towards those areas of the body. Continuing to take in through the nose long, deep inhalations, filling up our belly, lower chest, upper chest, and releasing through our nose the air from our upper chest, middle chest, and lower belly. With our next inhalation, start to allow ourselves to come back into the room. Gently taking in 3 big deep breaths. We'll let them out through the mouth. Inhale and hold and exhale. Inhale, Hold and exhale. And inhale. Hold for a moment and let out a final exhalation. And gently opening the eyes, perhaps having our gaze down as we accustom ourselves to the light in the room. And gently removing any blankets, keeping the props for the time being. I'm going to do some breath work here, and to move us into this space of energy and heat, I'm going to spend a little bit of time with Kapalabhati breathing. So this is all about the active exhalation and passive inhalations, and what it will do is help us generate a few minutes of energy and heat as we start to get into our practice around balance and stability and generating a little bit of energy in this class. So I invite you to either pop your hands on your belly or hands on your knees, and we're going to take a full yogic breath to start off with. So we breathe in through the nose, fill up our belly, our lower chest, our upper chest, hold for a moment, and then release. So let's try this. And release through the nose. I invite you to take in a half breath now. Half a breath in through the nose. I'm going to release through the nose. Fast, quick breaths for 20 counts, allowing our stomach to very actively let go of the breath inwardly as we let go of the breath through our nostrils. It looks like this. Just watch for a moment. So I invite you to practice this with me for the next 20 exhalations. So release. And breathing gently. And release. Breathing gently again. And release through the nose. And breathe in a half breath, and we go again, 20 counts. And breathe in gently and release. And release. And we'll do a third round, so breathing in half a breath and 20 counts again. And release. And gentle breath in and release. And we'll do 2 more rounds, 4th and a 5th round. So breathing in, half breath in and release. Gentle breath in, normal breath, and release. And 5th round, I'll let you practice this 5th round. Breathing in a half breath and release for 20 counts. And I should mention whilst we're doing this, if you're feeling a little bit dizzy, just stop the practice and resume normal breath. And this Kapalabhati breathing is good for us to practice first thing in the morning without having put anything into our bodies. So first thing in the morning before we've eaten or several hours after we've eaten. But what we want to do is make sure that we're focusing on those quicker movements of inhale and exhale. And really it's a very active exhalation through the nose and a very passive inhalation. The body naturally does this through the belly. And if at any point you're feeling a little bit dizzy or it's not feeling quite right, you just stop and resume normal gentle breathing. And once you've finished that 5th round, just taking 3 gentle breaths in and releasing, and just noticing how your body feels. Noticing what's come up for you, and hopefully feeling that little bit more energized and a little bit more heat that we've generated in the body. And the Kapalabhati breathing is very good for clearing out any sinus. So I get quite a lot of sinus. So it's really good to allow that cleansing of the sinuses to come through as well. So with that, we're going to remove any props and come into a standing position, into our mountain pose or Tadasana to start our practice. I'll give you a few moments to remove any props, perhaps untuck your toes, and gently come up into a standing position. We want to be stood hip width apart here, gentle and relaxed in the shoulders here, nice and tall through the spine. I'm going to take a deep breath in and bring our hands into our heart center to start with. Exhale, inhale, let's take the hands up, palms facing each other, bringing the palms together and into the heart center. And noticing here, our feet planted firmly into the ground. Again, gently closing the eyes for a few moments. And this is a good time to set an intention for this practice. Setting an intention that feels right for you in this moment. Perhaps an intention to be kind to yourself today, or to be here, present in this moment, giving this time for yourself. Are you ready? Gently place the hands by your side. Beginning our practice, on the inhalation we lift our hands up, palms facing each other, shoulders relaxed, hands come together. Inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to take our right hand and clasp it over our left and lean over to the right on the exhalation. Inhale and come back into the center, and exhale back over to the right, pushing your left hips forward, firmly through all 4 corners of your feet. Inhale, and side bend over to the right again, perhaps getting that little bit deeper as we come to that right side. Inhaling, coming into the center, letting go of the hands, and on the exhalation, grasping the right wrist with your left hand, exhaling and side bending into the left side of your body, opening up and stretching under the armpits. Inhale, come back into the center, and exhaling over to the left side of the body, trying to get that little bit deeper, reaching that little bit further through your fingertips, on each inhalation and exhalation. Coming into the third round here and into the center. Release the hands nice and gently. Placing the hands onto the hips. We start off with little circular movements here to get some mobility into our hips, into our knees and into our ankle joints. Just taking it nice and easy to start off with. Have about 8 circles in a clockwise direction. And then pause, going the other way. Feeling, noticing how it feels through our feet, through our ankle joints, through our knee joints, through our hip joints. Just noticing any moments or any sensations of tension, any niggles that are coming up for you. Coming over, back into the center. Popping our hands down and place our right arm. Will start with the right side onto our right hip. We're going to take the arm up on the inhalation, up bicep close to our knees, and on the exhalation, again into a side bend, looking over to our left side, noticing and feeling, taking a deep breath into our left side, the rib cage into the left lung, and releasing into the center, and practicing that 2 more times. Trying to get a little bit deeper each time into the stretch, back into the center and over. On your third time, make it your biggest inhalation and exhalation on this side. Coming into the center, releasing the arm onto the left hip, breathing in, taking the right arm up. You might like to follow the gaze, follow your fingers. On the exhalation, reaching over, ensuring that your feet don't come off the ground here, really pressing through the feet as well and not collapsing forward, not straining the lower back too much. Ensure that your lower core muscles, you lift your pelvic floor so that they're engaged to keep your lower back protected. And then bring that arm up and releasing, coming back into the body here for just a moment. And take our hands now and place them onto our lower back, just above or just between the 2 hip bones and onto the lower back. And what we want to do here again, stand with our feet hip width apart, tuck those elbows in as much as you can. Just sort of reach up and look up towards the sky and exhale. As we exhale, we start to reach back, pushing our hips forward. You might keep a slight bend in your knees, not to lock out those knees. Shoulders back, head relaxed, and try not to talk here whilst you're doing this. And gently coming up on the inhalation. And trying that 2 more times, trying to get a little bit deeper each time. So inhale, exhale, release. And coming back up. And on your third round, trying to get as deep as it feels for you, as it feels right for you today, remembering to be kind to your body. Inhale and exhale. And release. Coming back into the center here. I'm just going to pop these off. Firmly placing your feet on the ground. We're going to work through our sun salutation aim to generate a little bit more heat and get our body moving. Hands by the side here, feet firmly placed on the ground, palms facing up and out, shoulders relaxed, head long, spine long. With the inhalation, we lift up, palms facing each other, On the exhalation, roll those elbows in, hinge from the hips forward, and just bring your hands down towards your ankles or your knees or your thighs. You can pop your hands onto blocks, dropping the head and the chin towards your knees and thighs. And inhale, we lift into a straight spine, lifting our chin, our head to peek out like a turtle out of its shell. And exhale, firmly place our hands onto the ground, taking the right foot back, followed by the left foot into our plank position here. Hands, fingers are spread out evenly onto the toes on the plank position. Roll out those shoulders, press that chest through, drop to the knees. From here, we're going to tuck the elbows in, slither the chest and chin through. Let's start with a cobra, so peeling the chest up. Arms, as long as it feels right for this first round. Head facing forward. So we're on an inhale here, and on the exhale, we lift our toes up. If we need to, push the hips up through the bending of the knees and coming into our first downward facing dog. And here you might want to walk out your dog, so bend the right knee and extend the left leg. Bend the left knee and extend the right leg. Getting some movement into the back of the legs. We'll notice where your hands are at. Press through the knuckles of the first finger. And then lift up onto your tippy toes. Drop over to the right side. Drop both the heels over to the right side. And inhale, lift up onto the tippy toes. Exhale, drop the heels over to the left side. And if at any point this is getting too much for you, you can always come down into a child's pose. Now let's come to a place where we find some stillness for 3 breaths. Looking up between the thumbs, we'll take the right foot forward, followed by the left foot, nice and gently, and straight into a flat spine, looking up and folding over. And just gently, on this one, gently going to curl up like a rag doll. Feeling every part of our spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, keeping the neck and the chin tucked in. Lifting the head last, bringing our hands out by our sides. So we're going to do 4 more rounds of sun salutations to warm up the body before we come into our balance poses. And we'll speed it up on each round. So we'll take the hands up, breathing in, palms facing together, swan dive forward, hands to the ground, head to the knee, up into a half lift, spine long, taking the hands down, coming into a plank position. You can drop knees, chest, or keeping those elbows tucked in and come into a chaturanga, and then lifting up into a cobra and coming down into a downward facing dog. Taking 3 breaths. Looking between the thumbs, taking the right foot forward, followed by the left foot. Halfway lift, release. And then lifting the arms up above the heads, hands into prayer position, coming into the center of your heart. On the exhalation, hands by the side. Let's go over to the left side, so we lift our hands up into prayer position and bring it forward into your Utkatasana, full fold, halfway lift, and then stepping our hands down, left foot back, followed by the right foot, and you can go into a chin chest or chaturanga, elbows tucked in, and lifting up into an upward facing dog, so knees off the ground, or into a cobra, Turning those knees under, lifting with the hips, keeping the core nice and tight into a downward facing dog. Taking the left foot forward after your third breath, followed by the right foot, and straight into a flat back, halfway lift, release, and lifting up over the head into our Tadasana, hands together, bring them into the heart center, and release the arms. Let's go again, lift, breathe in, breathe out into your forward fold. Breathe in, halfway lift. Breathe out into your full plank, right side. Chaturanga on the exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. On the inhalation, look between the thumbs. Exhale, bring the feet in between the thumbs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release into your forward fold. Inhale, bring the arms out above the head, facing each other. Bringing your palms together to your heart center on the exhale. 2 more rounds. Let's go to the left side. Inhale, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, hands down, into your plank, inhale into your upward facing dog or cobra, exhale into your downward facing dog. Try to push that chest through, rolling the elbows in on these downward facing dogs, trying to get more length through the spine, through the legs. On your third exhalation, we look up, bring the feet forward, inhale into your halfway lift and exhale to your forward fold. Inhale, hands together, meeting in the center of our heart. Final rounds, you can try to jump or step back this time round on our plank and straight into a chaturanga. You can also step or hop forward, double hop, or a full hop forward when we come through downward dog. So I'll show you what that looks like. Hands by the side, we lift, inhale, exhale, into your forward fold, lifting up into your halfway, hands down, we'll jump straight back into a chaturanga, and then an upward facing dog, downward facing dog on the exhalation. After our 3 breaths in, we can bend the knees and come up onto the tippy toes. Just a gentle movement in between the thumbs, lifting up on the inhalation to halfway, exhale, release, and then inhale, hands above the head, and bring them into the heart center. And letting go. Just noticing here how we're feeling and taking a few moments to catch the breath. And come into some balance poses now. So balance is great for us to be able to focus and stay grounded. Just bear with me a moment here. So starting with our feet hip width apart. Being able to balance means being able to keep the mind focused as well. So part of it's physical, but most of it's actually quite mental. This is starting to give me a little bit of grief. So we'll pop that off. So we're going to start off with a standing pose and then move it into our tree pose. So feet hip width apart, taking the weight onto the left foot to start off with, so lifting up the right toes, standing up nice and tall. We're going to bring our knee into our chest and hold here. Again, trying to feel our foot, our left foot into the ground, into the earth. And if we need to, we find a point, a reference point, something to focus on to help us keep balanced here. If you want to challenge yourself, you could also start to close your eyes. And just taking a couple more breaths here. Finding that groundedness. If you're shaking like I am, it's a great thing. Makes us stronger. What I invite you to do now is turn your foot inside of your thigh like so. So you might need to grab onto a wall or hold on to something. That's perfectly okay. So we want to try and press the thigh towards the foot and the foot towards the thigh and really stay grounded on that left side. We'll bring our hands into our heart center here. We'll lift them up for our Trikonasana pose, a tree pose, up over the head. Being controlled here. Letting go of any judgments of what might be going on for us right now, whether we can or can't get into this pose. And just being. Now I invite you to take your knee back up. You might want to come back into a hug. And we're going to do a revolving twist within this tree pose. Now if you're blessed with tightness like I am, your knee might be bent, that's perfectly okay. We take the leg out, we take the arm out, and a twist gently. If you're cursed with flexibility, this will look like a very straight leg. What we want to, in essence, do is to be able to grab the toe, if we can, and do a gentle twist. Looking over the back of our shoulder if that feels right. And when you feel like it's enough, maybe challenge yourself a little bit. You can come back in to this balance pose and release. So the other way to do it is to grab those toes. Whoopsie. Grab those toes, push them out, and then we twist, yeah? So it's not quite one of my fortes yet with tightness through the hamstrings, but that's perfectly okay. We're going to move over to the other side. So we put the balance into our right foot, coming up onto our left foot, lifting up nice and tall. We'll bring the knee up into the chest and give it a hug. Again, focusing on the breath here, noticing what's going on with the foot, grounded into the mat. Focusing on a point, if that helps, or if you're wanting to challenge yourself, gently closing the eyes. You might want to start with gazing down first. And with the next inhalation, we'll bring that foot to the inside of the thigh, hands into the heart center. Starting here, lifting the hands above the head if you want more of a challenge. Now you might feel that one side is steadier than the other. You might feel more challenged on one side. That's perfectly normal. Our bodies don't have full evenness, so it's okay to have a stronger side, a less strong side. That's perfectly normal. With the next inhalation, we'll bring the knee up. And if you can, we take the foot out, grabbing the ankle, lifting our arm up and taking it behind us, toes pointing up, trying to get that twist in the body, keeping those hips facing forward, and gently coming back into holding and hugging that knee and releasing slowly. How did that feel for you? Definitely felt quite challenged on one side, and it's the practice and being able to continue challenging ourselves with some of these movements that make us stronger. So I encourage you to do that. I'm just going to flip the sheet over here. And the next inhalation, we're going to take our right foot back and come into our star pose. It's taking a step out, so we're wider than hip width apart. Wider than hip width apart. Toes pointing out, heels pointing in, lifting up, taking the arms nice and long. And this might be a good time to get your blocks handy. So we want our hands at about shoulder height, chest pointing forward, nice and relaxed in the shoulders, and taking several breaths here. And on your next inhalation, we're going to hinge forward from the hips, so you might want to pop your hands on your hips. We hinge forward from the hips and try and bring our head to the ground. Now, you might want to, if you've got tightness in the hips or the hamstrings, going longer and wider helps. If you're quite hypermobile, hyperflexible, you could have a shorter stance. So we hinge forward, back nice and flat, letting the gravity of our head take us down. So starting off with the hands onto the ground, or if they can't reach there, onto blocks. This is a great stretch for our legs. We want to make sure that we're pulling our belly in, that we've got our pinky toes flat into the mat. Trying to get a little bit deeper on each exhalation. Or if you like, you might want to grab your big toes and put your head towards the ground. If you can't quite reach, you can use a block and work your way down as you strengthen and deepen your practice. Taking 3 more inhalations here. Releasing the thumbs, bringing the hands back into the center, releasing the block, walking the feet in, and then just gently popping the hands back on the hips, gently lifting up. From here, we want to turn our right foot forward, line up our heels and our heel to heel. So our right foot is at a 90-degree angle to our left foot. Again, you might want to keep your blocks handy here or nearby. We're going to go into our triangle pose here. Triangles really great for focus and stability. So we'll take our hands out long. Breathing, we reaching out with the left hand here. Reaching out as far as we can. Bringing the left hand down to the inside of our leg. You might want to grab your shin. Or you might be able to touch the ground and pop it onto a block. And then we're taking our right hand up over our heads. Reaching up through the fingertips and breathing, trying to ensure that we're not crushing down or crushing forward It's like we're trying to fit our body through 2 panes of glass. You might want to gaze downwards. Or if it feels right and you have the balance today, gaze up towards your middle finger or up towards the sky or your roof. And with the inhalation, we bend into that right knee and come down into an extended side angle pose. You might be able to reach your hand onto the ground here. We rotate that right shoulder up, opening up the chest. With your next inhalation, bringing the hand onto the knee and coming back out into your warrior two and holding here for a moment. Looking straight down the middle, finger, shoulders relaxed. Straightening the left leg, dropping the arms, hands on the hips and coming back into the center. We're going to go on to the other side. So taking your left foot back, here, lining up heel to heel, lifting the chest up, taking the arms long. Inhale, exhale, reaching forward. Again, you might want to keep your blocks handy, reaching forwards, dropping the right arm down towards the inside of the left ankle onto a block, and creating this nice straight line between your right fingertips all the way up to your left fingertips, opening up the chest and gazing where it feels right for you today. Gentle twist up towards the sky. Continue to rotate your chest upwards. With the next inhalation, we bend the knee, come into that extended side angle pose. You might be able to reach your hands to the ground. If not, place them onto a block or onto a book. And hold. Breathing in here, slowly, deeply. With the next inhalation, hand onto the knee, taking the arms out long into your warrior two, turning that back foot onto a 45-degree angle, shoulders relaxed. Bringing the hands to the hips and feet together, or feet hip width apart into your Tadasana. We're just going to release that with some sun salutations. So coming over, we'll also add in some warrior movements into our sun salutations on this round, taking the hands out, lifting the hands up. Inhale, hands together. Exhale, swan dive forwards, hands to the ground. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we'll go into a plank and lowering that plank, elbows tucked in, chest lifted, untuck the toes onto your upward facing dog. Release onto your downward facing dog with the exhalation, straight away taking that right foot forward and coming up into a warrior one and holding, breathing in here. Extend the arms into the warrior two. Keeping your balance. Bending through that right knee. Making sure the knee isn't going over the ankle. Strong in the back leg. Cartwheel your arms down. Back into your plank. Lower the plank. Lifting up into an upward facing dog. And over into a downward facing dog. Taking the left foot forward. In between the thumbs. Turning the back. Heel under, lifting up into your warrior one, stabilizing through that front leg, through that back leg, hips facing forward, holding. Taking it into a warrior two, bending through that right knee, keeping these inner thighs rolled up, chest open, strong in the arms. Cartwheeling the arms down, taking the feet back into your plank position, and again chaturanga, or you might want to meet us in downward facing dog. That's okay. Looking up between the fingers after your third breath, and taking your right foot forward here and staying low for a moment in this low lunge position. Have your blocks nearby. We're going to try and take a lift up, so pressure through the right foot, lift up into a half moon position. So we'll start by lifting our left leg off the ground, rotate the hip, hands onto the block if you need to. I'm going to try and lift that left arm up over our heads, keeping as stable as we can here, focusing at a point on the ground. And then gently and controlled, turn the hip to face the foot front, taking our left foot back into this lunge position again. Back into your plank, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. You might want to work through your vinyasa or not. Downward facing dog. Taking a couple of stabilizing breaths here. And on the third one, we'll take that left foot forward in between our thumbs. Staying in a low lunge for a moment. Lining up our block if we need to. And then bringing ourselves up, lifting that right foot back to start off with. Hands on the block, we're going to turn, rotate that hip outward. Seeing if we can lift the right arm. Trying to lift out of the chest. Stay focused here for a moment. Turning the hip back in. Gently placing the right foot back. Hands to the ground, staying in this low lunge for a second. Taking a breath in. As we exhale, back into our plank and working through our vinyasa or meeting back in downward facing dog. Taking 5 deep cleansing breaths here. And then looking up, bending the knees, you can either step or float or jump in between your thumbs. And what we want to do here is cross our legs, oopsie, and come seated to the ground. Not quite that thumpy. So what we're going to do is start to work through some of our seated movements here and allow ourselves to find that groundedness through this back line of our body. So we'll start with the extension of the legs, and this might be a good time to have your strap handy or use your strap if you need to. Start off with our seated forward bend. So again, if you're tight in the hamstrings, knees might be a little bit lifted, but you don't need to come all the way down. Come to where it feels normal and natural for your body. On this one, we want to sit upright and tall. So remove the flashy parts, lift them up, engage that core, lifting the arms nice and long, toes pointing up and back, and releasing the head towards the ground, hinging from the hips. Okay, in this one of this particular class, to round that back. Breathe into it. Walk the hands back, nice and gently, moving into a revolved pose. A little bit of movement into our spinal area. So we'll lift up in this seated position. Take our right arm to grasp onto our left foot, maybe left ankle. Taking that left arm up and behind, lifting up from the chest and twisting to look over the back of our shoulder. And coming back into the center on the exhalation, lifting up on the inhalation. Exhale and fold forward again. Try and push those toes, heels out, toes back towards you. I like to do this little gentle grasping of the feet and pushing them in towards me very, very, very gently. And it helps stretch out my very tight hamstrings. Trying to also lift through that chest. Placing the hands and lifting up. This time we're reaching up on the inhalation, on the exhalation, taking that left arm outside of the right leg, I should say, right ankle, arm behind us, and gentle twist. Looking over the shoulder if that feels right. Trying to stay up nice and tall. And coming back into the center again, lifting up and over the toes, reaching the head over the toes, hinging from the hips. Trying to get a little bit deeper. And releasing. I'm going to finish the class with a little bit of core work. So we'll start off by taking the arms out nice and long and releasing gently to the ground. To warm us up, we'll pop right knee, left knee into our belly, little circles, just to release and massage our and coming into the center, taking the legs down to the ground. Take the legs long, hands by the side if you can. I'm going to do 10 lifts. So we'll take the legs off the ground and lift them to just 45 degrees and release, starting with 1, release, 2, and if you can, feet not touching the ground. If you need to, bring the feet back down to the ground. 7, 8, 9, and 10, and release and relax here in corpse pose for a moment. And having a strong core is important in asana practice, important in life in general, as it helps stabilize any movement that we have. So working on these abdominal muscles is super important. We want to keep them engaged throughout the poses. They help us lift, they help us come back down, they help us with everyday functional movement. Taking the feet off the ground, we're going to lift again, 10 reps. Now if you're feeling that you're getting pain in the lower back, you can always bend the knees and bring them in. And if you need a little bit more stability, you can also pop, if you absolutely need to, your thumbs underneath your buttocks, which helps just give you that little bit of stability. Last one here, and 10, feet to the ground, and relax. We breathe in, taking the feet off the ground, 3rd round, lift and relax. Using the breath, so breathing in on the movement up, breathing out on the movement down. Feeling yourself getting stronger here. I think that was 9. That's your 10th one, and release. And I find it super hard to focus on anything but that core region and the core muscles whenever I do core work. So it's a good one to keep ourselves balanced in mind and focused. And on the next one, we're getting a little bit stronger in the movement. So we're going to bring our right knee over our hip, left knee over the hip, and then take the feet up. And we want to do a movement that looks something like this, where we hip raise, get the hips off the ground. Again, really good work for the lower abdominal muscles. So we've got 10 of these. And relax. You might want to bring knees into the chest, or you might want to take the feet long to relax in corpse pose. 2 more rounds. Inhale, bring the right knee over the hip, left knee over the hip, feet long, hands to the ground. Lift, keeping the pelvic floor muscle engaged. Last one, knees into chest. And take them out into corpse pose. I'm almost there. Last round, taking the right knee followed by the left knee into the hips, feet up, heels up, toes pointing down, hands up to the ground, and lift. Exhale on the drop. And if you're not starting to burn yet, then do 2 more rounds. Knees into the chest on this last one. Little massage. Bring the feet together, dropping the knees over to the right side, doing a gentle spinal twist here to decompress. Arms long, you can look over the left shoulder if you like. Into the center and over to the left side. Into the center, reach your feet up, grab the inside of your feet, come into a happy baby. Just release any tension through the groin, through the hip flexors. Might want to gently rock side to side, massaging out that lower part of your back. Bring the feet together gently. Knees back into your chest. Give them a good squeeze. Gently on the exhalation, lift your forward towards your knees. Feel that stretch through the back of your neck, through the upper part of your back. Exhale and lift, inhale and drop. Two more rounds. And just release your hands, release your feet gently. Bring yourself into Shavasana. And preparing for it, you might like to cover yourself with blankets if it's a little bit cool. You might want to put a bolster under your knees. Gently face your hands up towards the sky. And take this time to rest from your practice, to give your body the rest that it needs. We often forego just being and not doing. And Shavasana is a great way to just be. Allow yourself to find some stillness as you're in this pose. Noticing how your body feels now after your asana practice. Noticing the quality of your thoughts now. Are there any thoughts? Do they feel more balanced? Noticing the quality of your breath. Has it slowed down? Allowing yourself to take in this new, fresh oxygen into your body, filling up those areas of tightness that you may have released through your practice. Allowing it to feel good. Allow everything to soften. Allow your breathing to soften you into the nuts. Melt here for just a few moments and just be. Resting and recuperating is something that many of us don't allow time for in our lives. And ending your practice with Shavasana, where you have this opportunity to rest, to recoup, is a great way to show love and appreciation to your body. For those who would like to stay here for longer, please do. Stay here for as long as you can. We're going to bring some awareness back into our body now. Move your shoulders, your arms. Feel some movements into your toes. Take an inhalation and move over onto one side of your body. Rest here for a few moments. Gently lift yourself into an easy seated position, keeping those eyes closed. I invite you to finish the class today with 3 ohms. Taking a breath in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bringing your hands to your heart center. taking a moment to reflect and to show some gratitude for your practice. From the love and light in me to the love and light in you. I hope we have peace, serenity, and all feel safe, balanced and grounded during these turbulent times in the world. Rubbing your palms together to create some heat. Gently pop them over your eyes and feel the heat. Breathe in that heat. Bring your hands back into your palm center, bowing towards yourself. Dropping your head in prayer. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me. Have a beautiful day. So thank you for watching. A few reflections from me that are also put on my class sheets. I prefer my flows to incorporate the balance poses, so that's something that I noticed I didn't do. Probably writing this out and following this particular sequence. So I feel that it comes more naturally for me if I'm doing the vinyasa flows and then incorporating the balances rather than doing sun salutations into balances. So that's something that I'll think about and do. I find sometimes as well, and in my practice over the last 12 months, I actually taught a little bit online to my fitness community before, after I gave up my fitness classes. I started to do more of these stretch, yoga style, even Pilates style classes. And I felt that it came more natural when I wasn't overthinking it and planning it too much. So I want to find the happy balance between both, and I think that will come with writing a class or practicing the classes that I write, or when I do a good flow for myself to actually take a bit of time afterwards to write that one out and it become a part of my teaching practice. So what I'm trying to say is I'm probably better when I wing it rather than when I have it written down, but I think that's just because I spent so many years doing fitness style and got to a point where I could wing it. I also know that it creates a lot of stress when you do wing it if you're in a class setting. So I don't prefer to do that, but more about allowing my natural style to come in my teaching. And with these particular three, because this is my third one, doing the desk therapy first and then the yin, and now this particular class, I think it's about me also taking myself out of my comfort zone. So over the last 12 months, I've become much better in my balance poses, but they still have a lot of work. I am a strong person, but I cannot hold things like handstands or headstands, and I do still have a lot of tightness, and I'm very relaxed about that, if that makes sense. And I think that this course has taught me to be quite relaxed about the fact that I can't get into things. It's about the progress that I do make each and every time, and it's not about perfection. It's about how it makes me feel, and that's something that wasn't in my practice before I started this course. Seeing teachers online and other teachers do it so well, there was this kind of burning desire to not do anything that I couldn't do well. Whereas now it's more about this. The last 12 months has taught me that this is a journey. It's about the little steps that I make to move towards it, and it's not about the end game. Which is why today I incorporated things that make me feel a little bit uncomfortable, things that make me feel unstable, because it's about getting more stable. It's about getting more balance, getting more groundedness, learning about how my body feels, even slowing down lots of those balance poses and even the vinyasas and the flows that I'd normally do much faster. For me, that's a huge achievement because I am very much get go, and what I'm trying to do is shift myself continuously into that slower practice to be really attuned between my breath and my body and how it feels for me on any particular day. And with that in mind, I have become a lot kinder towards myself over the last 6 months. And even in my fitness, in my strength training, which I do every single day, and my HIIT training, I've become a lot kinder to myself. So for that, I'm super grateful for the course, for the teachers, and for my learnings through it. And I'm also super grateful and appreciative of myself for allowing myself to come into that space, into that mindset, into that headspace. So thank you. And I hope that this is the completion of this, and I'll be embarking on the 300 hours next. And again, probably taking that quite slow because I actually love the learning throughout all of this, which is why I took the last year to actually work through this in a really, I suppose, not structured. It's probably been a little bit unstructured, but a really mindful way. So with that, thank you very much. And yeah, I'll see you all soon.